Maya Carter thought she'd buried the past forever, until one terrifying night in the ER forced her to dial the number she swore she'd never call again. The man who'd signed divorce papers and vanished without a trace 5 years ago was about to discover the earth-shattering secret she'd been hiding. Their 5-year-old son, gasping for breath in a hospital bed, asking for the daddy he'd never met. But Luke Bennett had no idea that his own father had been the puppet master behind their destruction, intercepting love letters, blocking phone calls, and tearing apart a marriage that could have survived anything. Now, as Luke races through hospital corridors toward the child he never knew existed, neither he nor Maya realizes that this reunion will uncover betrayals so deep they'll question everything they thought they knew about love, family, and the price of second chances. One phone call, one secret, one man who's about to learn that some mistakes echo through generations and some hearts are worth fighting for, no matter how much time has been lost. If you're watching this incredible story of second chances unfold, hit that subscribe button and tell me what city you're tuning in from. I love connecting with viewers from around the world. The fluorescent lights in the hospital hallway buzzed like angry bees. Maya Carter pressed her back against the cool wall and tried to steady her breathing. Her hands shook as she scrolled through her phone, looking for a number she hadn't called in 5 years. Luke Bennett. The name sat on her screen like a question she wasn't sure she wanted to answer. Behind her, through the observation room window, she could see Jaden coloring a sailboat with purple crayon. His breathing was steady now. The scary wheeze was gone, but her heart still hammered against her ribs. "I wouldn't call unless," she whispered to herself, practicing the words. What came after that? Unless what? Unless their son was in the hospital? Unless she was desperate? Unless she finally had to tell the truth? The truth. 5 years of carrying it alone had made her shoulders ache. Maya looked at the clock on the wall. 9:17 p.m. Luke might be working late. He always worked late when they were married. Always had some project that needed finishing. Always had somewhere else to be. But Jaden had asked for his daddy when the paramedics put the oxygen mask on his little face. Not for the first time. And this time, Maya couldn't find another excuse. She pressed call. The phone rang once, twice. Maya's stomach flipped. Maybe he changed his number again. Maybe he wouldn't answer a call from her after all these years. Maybe, "Hello?" His voice was deeper than she remembered, rougher around the edges, but it was still Luke. "Luke, it's Maya." Silence stretched between them like a bridge with missing boards. "Maya," he said her name like he was testing it out, seeing how it felt in his mouth after so long. Is everything okay?" She closed her eyes. The hospital smell of disinfectant and worry filled her nose. "I'm at the hospital. I wouldn't call unless I really needed to." She heard something crash in the background. Papers, maybe, or tools hitting the floor. "What happened? Are you hurt?" "Not me. It's..." She looked through the window again. Jaden was showing his sailboat drawing to Carmen, the ER nurse. "It's complicated. Can you just come? Wilmington General, Pediatric Wing. I'm on my way." The line went dead. Maya stared at her phone. He hadn't asked more questions, hadn't demanded explanations. He just said he was coming. Maybe Luke had changed more than his voice in 5 years. Maya walked back into the observation room. Jaden looked up from his coloring book. His big brown eyes were the same shade as Luke's. Maya's heart squeezed every time she noticed. "Who were you talking to, Mummy?" "Just a friend, baby. Someone who wants to make sure you're okay." Carmen checked the monitor by Jaden's bed. All the numbers looked good. The scary allergic reaction was over. The peanut traces from the birthday cake were out of his system. But the doctor wanted to watch him for a few more hours, just to be safe. "Looking much better, little man," Carmen said. She had kind eyes and gentle hands. Maya was lucky to work with people like Carmen at the pediatric clinic. "How's that boat coming along?" Jaden held up his drawing. The sailboat was purple and green with orange sails. "It needs a crew," he said seriously. "Boats can't sail themselves." "Very true," Carmen agreed. She looked at Maya. "Dr. Chen will probably discharge him in an hour or two. Everything looks stable." Maya nodded. An hour or two. Luke would be here soon. What was she going to say? How do you tell someone they have a 5-year-old son? How do you explain 5 years of silence? The door opened. Maya's sister Tasha walked in carrying a bag from the vending machines and wearing her worried face. Tasha was 4 years older and had been taking care of Maya since their parents died in a car accident when Maya was 16. She had opinions about everything, especially about men who disappeared. "How's my favorite nephew?" Tasha asked, kissing Jaden's forehead. She handed him a pack of crackers and Maya a cup of coffee that smelled like burnt dreams. "I'm your only nephew," Jaden giggled. "That just makes you extra special." Tasha sat down in the visitor chair. "Any word on when you can go home?" "Soon," Maya said. She couldn't look at her sister. Tasha would know something was wrong. Tasha always knew. "Maya," Tasha's voice got that careful tone she used when she was trying not to lecture. "What aren't you telling me?" Before Maya could answer, there was a knock on the door frame. A man stood in the doorway, tall, with broad shoulders and paint-stained work clothes. His brown hair was longer than it used to be, and there were new lines around his eyes, but his hands were the same, strong and gentle, with small scars from years of building things. "Luke." He looked at Maya first, like he was making sure she was really there. Then his eyes moved to Jaden on the hospital bed. Maya watched Luke's face change as he saw the little boy with his own brown eyes and his mother's smile. "Hi," Luke said softly. He stayed in the doorway, like he wasn't sure if he was allowed to come in. Jaden looked up from his crackers. "Are you Mummy's friend?" Luke's eyes flicked to Maya. She saw the question there, the confusion, the beginning of understanding. "I'm Luke," he said to Jaden. "And yes, I'm your Mummy's friend. I heard you weren't feeling very well." "I had an allergic reaction," Jaden said importantly. "But I'm okay now. The doctors fixed me." Luke stepped into the room. Maya noticed he moved carefully, like he was in a place where everything might break if he wasn't gentle enough. Tasha stood up. Her eyes were sharp as broken glass. "Maya, can I talk to you in the hallway?" "Actually," Luke said, looking at Jaden again, "I brought something." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small wooden tool. "I was working when your mum called, and I thought you might like to see this." Jaden's eyes got wide. "What is it?" "It's a whittling knife," Luke said. He looked at Carmen. "Is it okay if I—" Carmen nodded. "Just keep it simple." Luke sat down in the chair beside Jaden's bed. He pulled a tongue depressor from the medical supply tray and started to carve it with small, careful movements. "See, we can make this into a little rudder for your sailboat drawing." Jaden forgot about his crackers. He watched Luke's hands shape the wood, turning something plain into something magical. Maya watched too. She had forgotten how peaceful Luke looked when he was building something, how his whole body relaxed when his hands were busy. "There," Luke said after a few minutes. He held up a tiny wooden rudder, perfectly smooth and shaped. "Now your boat can steer where it wants to go." Jaden took the rudder like it was made of gold. "Can you teach me how to do that?" Luke glanced at Maya. "Maybe someday." Tasha cleared her throat. "Maya, hallway, now." Maya's stomach dropped. But she had to face this. She had to face all of it. "Jaden, I'll be right back, okay? Luke will stay with you." In the hallway, Tasha crossed her arms. "What is he doing here, Maya? You haven't spoken to Luke Bennett in 5 years, not since the divorce. And now he just shows up?" Maya leaned against the wall again. The buzzing lights were giving her a headache. "I called him." "You called him? Why would you?" Tasha stopped. Maya watched understanding dawn on her sister's face. Oh no, Maya, please tell me you didn't." "I didn't have a choice. There's always a choice. You chose to keep Jaden away from his father for 5 years. You chose to let that man think he didn't have a son. And now, you're choosing to drag him back into our lives when things get scary." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "It wasn't like that. It wasn't a choice. He was gone, Tasha. He signed the divorce papers and disappeared. I tried to tell him about the baby. I tried calling. I sent a letter. It all came back. He didn't want to hear from me." Tasha's face softened a little. "Maya, Jaden asked for his daddy tonight. When he couldn't breathe, he asked for his daddy. How was I supposed to ignore that?" Through the window, they could see Luke showing Jaden how to hold the little wooden rudder. Jaden was laughing. It was the first time he had laughed all night. "What are you going to tell him?" Tasha asked quietly. "The truth." Maya wiped her eyes. "I'm going to tell him the truth." When they walked back into the room, Carmen was checking Jaden's vitals again. "Everything looks perfect," she announced. "I think we can talk about going home soon." Jaden held up his sailboat drawing with the wooden rudder taped to it. "Look, Aunt Tasha. Luke made me a real rudder." Tasha looked at Luke. Her eyes were still suspicious, but something in them had shifted. "That's very nice, Jaden." Luke stood up. "Maya, could we talk? In private?" Maya nodded. They walked to a quiet corner near the nurse's station. The hallway felt too small and too big at the same time. Maya, Luke said, and his voice was rough. That little boy. He looks like you. I know. Luke ran his hands through his hair. Are you saying he's yours, Luke? Jaden is your son. The words hung between them like a bridge finally built after years of broken pieces. Luke stared at her. His face went through a dozen emotions: shock, confusion, hurt, wonder. You never told me, he whispered. 5 years, Maya. You never told me I had a son. I tried. The words came out in a rush. After you left, after the divorce was final, I found out I was pregnant. I called you. The number didn't work. I wrote you a letter. It came back. Insufficient address. You were gone, Luke. You made it clear you didn't want anything to do with me. That's not. Luke shook his head. That's not what happened. I didn't know you tried to call. I changed my phone after it got smashed on a job site, and I never got a letter. Then where did you go? After the divorce, you just vanished. No forwarding address, no way to reach you. Luke's shoulders sagged. I stayed in town for 3 months after we signed the papers. I kept thinking, I kept hoping you'd change your mind, that we could try again. I even wrote you a letter, an apology. I asked if we could go to counseling together, try to fix what we broke. Maya's heart stopped. What happened to the letter? I gave it to my dad to mail. I was working double shifts, trying to keep busy, trying not to think about losing you. Luke's voice cracked. I never heard back, so I figured you really were done with me, that you'd found someone else maybe. So I took a job in Raleigh. I thought I was giving you space to move on. Maya felt like the ground was shifting under her feet. Hank never mailed your letter. What? Your dad. He never wanted us together, Luke. He always thought I wasn't good enough for you, that a black woman would just bring you trouble. Maya's voice was bitter. I bet he threw your letter away, just like he probably threw mine away if it ever made it to your house. Luke's face went white, then red. He wouldn't do that. But Maya could see in his eyes that he was starting to believe it. They both knew Hank Bennett had never approved of their marriage. He'd been polite but cold, always making little comments about how different their families were, how young they were, how they should wait. We both tried, Maya said softly. We both tried to reach each other, and somehow the messages got lost. Luke looked back toward Jaden's room. 5 years. I missed 5 years of his life. I'm sorry, I thought. I thought you knew and didn't care. I would have cared, Maya. I would have cared so much. Luke's eyes filled with tears. I always wanted kids. You know that. And now I find out I have a son, and he's been sick tonight, and I wasn't here. You're here now. They stood in the quiet hallway, both of them crying a little, both of them trying to figure out how to bridge 5 years of silence and misunderstanding. Carmen appeared at Maya's elbow. Good news. Dr. Chen says Jaden can go home. All his numbers are perfect. Maya nodded and wiped her eyes. I'll get his things. Maya, Luke said, what happens now? With Jaden? With us? I don't know. Maya looked at him, really looked at him. He was older, more tired around the edges, but his eyes were the same, kind and honest and a little bit scared. But Jaden is going to have questions. He's going to want to know who you are. Can I be part of his life? Can I try to be his father? Maya thought about all the nights Jaden had asked about his daddy, all the Father's Day cards they hadn't made, all the times she'd seen him watching other kids with their dads at the playground. If you mean it, she said. If you're really going to stick around this time, because I won't let him get attached to someone who's going to disappear again. I mean it. Maya, I swear to you, I mean it. When they walked back into the room, Jaden was fully dressed and holding his sailboat, drawing carefully in his hands. Tasha had packed up the vending machine snacks and was waiting by the door. Ready to go home, baby? Maya asked. Can Luke come with us? Jaden asked. He could see my room. I have more boat pictures. Maya and Luke looked at each other. Tasha raised her eyebrows. Maybe Luke could follow us to the house, Maya said carefully. Just for a few minutes. Luke nodded. I'd like that. As they walked to the parking garage, Jaden skipped between Maya and Luke, chattering about the hospital and the wooden rudder and how brave he was during his allergic reaction. Maya noticed how Luke listened to every word, how he bent down to Jaden's level when he had something to say. At their cars, Luke hesitated. Maya, I know this is all. A lot. I know you have no reason to trust me after everything that went wrong between us, but I want to do this right. I want to be the father Jaden deserves. It's not going to be easy, Maya warned. He doesn't know you yet. And I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. I've had to be everything to him. I don't know how to share that. We'll figure it out, Luke said, step by step. Tasha spoke up from behind them. If you hurt that little boy, Luke Bennett, if you make promises you can't keep, you'll answer to me. Luke looked Tasha in the eye. I understand. I hope you do. Maya buckled Jaden into his car seat. He was getting sleepy, the excitement of the night finally catching up with him. Mummy, he said as she started the car, is Luke really going to come to our house? Yes, baby. For a little while. Good, Jaden mumbled, hugging his sailboat drawing. I want to show him my boat collection. As they drove through the quiet streets of Wilmington, Maya glanced in her rearview mirror. Luke's headlights followed behind them, steady and sure. For the first time in 5 years, she wasn't driving home alone. At the duplex, Maya fumbled with her keys while Jaden leaned against her leg, half asleep. Luke waited on the bottom step, giving them space but staying close enough to help if they needed it. You okay, buddy? Luke asked softly when Jaden stumbled a little. Just tired, Jaden said. He looked up at Luke with heavy eyes. Are you going to stay until I fall asleep? Sometimes I have bad dreams after scary things happen. Maya's heart clenched. Luke looked at her, asking permission. For a little while, she said. Inside, the house felt different with Luke in it, bigger and smaller at the same time. Maya hadn't had a man in this space since they'd moved here 3 years ago. It was hers and Jaden's safe place, decorated with finger paintings and toy boats and photos of just the two of them. Jaden led Luke to the living room, where shelves lined one wall, filled with toy boats of every size and kind. This is my fleet, Jaden announced proudly. Luke crouched down to look at the boats. This is amazing, Jaden. You must really love boats. I want to build a real one someday, a big one that can go in the ocean. That's a pretty great dream, Luke said. I work with wood. Maybe sometime I could teach you some things about building. Jaden's eyes lit up. Really? You know how to build boats? I know how to build lots of things, but we'd have to start small, maybe with something like this. Luke picked up a small wooden sailboat from the shelf. Did you make this? Mummy bought it for me, for my birthday last year. Jaden took the boat back and held it carefully. She always buys me boats. Maya felt Luke's eyes on her. When she looked at him, his expression was soft and grateful, like he understood that every boat on these shelves was her way of keeping his memory alive for their son. It's bedtime, Jaden, Maya said gently. You've had a big night. Can Luke read me a story, please? Maya hesitated. They were moving so fast. Too fast, maybe. But Jaden was looking at Luke with such hope, and Luke was looking at Jaden like he was the most precious thing in the world. If Luke doesn't mind, she said finally. I'd love to, Luke said. Upstairs in Jaden's room, Maya got him into his pajamas while Luke looked at the pictures on the walls. More boats, of course, but also drawings of families, stick figures holding hands, houses with crooked chimneys, dogs that looked more like horses. You're a good artist, Luke told Jaden as he climbed into bed. I like to draw things I want to be real, Jaden said. Luke picked up a book from the nightstand. How about this one? It was a story about a lost whale who finds his way home with help from a friendly dolphin. Luke read with the same careful attention he brought to everything, making different voices for the characters, pausing at the exciting parts. Jaden giggled and asked questions and slowly, let his eyes drift closed. When the story was over, Jaden was almost asleep, but he reached out and touched Luke's hand. Will you come back tomorrow? He whispered. Luke looked at Maya. She nodded. Yes, Luke said. I'll come back tomorrow. Promise? I promise. Jaden smiled and closed his eyes. Maya turned on the nightlight, and they tiptoed out of the room. Downstairs, they stood in the living room, suddenly awkward now that it was just the two of them. The last time they'd been alone together, they were signing divorce papers and saying things they couldn't take back. Thank you, Luke said quietly, for letting me stay, for letting me meet him. He's your son too. I should have tried harder to find you. We both made mistakes, Maya. We were young and hurt and stubborn. Luke looked around the room. You've done an amazing job with him. He's smart and sweet, and he's incredible. He asks about you sometimes, about his daddy. I never knew what to tell him. What did you say? Maya sat down on the couch, suddenly exhausted. That his daddy loved him but had to go away, that it wasn't his fault, that someday, maybe, he'd understand. Luke sat down too, careful to leave space between them. I did love him, even before I knew he existed. I loved the idea of him, of having a family with you. Luke, Maya's voice was tired. We can't go back. We can't pretend that what happened between us didn't happen. We hurt each other, badly. I know. I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking for a chance to be his father, to be part of his life. Maya looked at the boat collection, at the drawings on the coffee table, at the life she'd built for herself and her son. It's going to be complicated. The best things usually are. They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes. Then Luke stood up. I should go. Let you both get some rest. He paused at the door. Maya, about tomorrow. What should I tell him? About who I am? The truth, Maya said. He's old enough for the truth. Just gentle truth. Okay. Luke opened the door, then turned back. That promise I made to him, about coming back tomorrow, I meant it. I know I have a lot to prove to you, to both of you, but I meant it. After he left, Maya sat in the quiet living room and tried to process everything that had happened. 6 hours ago, she was a single mother whose biggest worry was whether Jaden would eat his vegetables at dinner. Now she was a co-parent, trying to figure out how to rebuild a relationship with a man she'd once loved more than breathing. She picked up the wooden rudder Luke had carved for Jaden. It was smooth and perfect, made with the kind of care that couldn't be faked. Maybe Luke really had changed. Maybe they both had. Outside, she heard a car engine start and drive away. Luke keeping his word, giving them space, not pushing for more than she was ready to give. For the first time in 5 years, Maya fell asleep thinking about possibilities instead of just survival. The next morning, Maya woke up to the sound of Jaden humming in his room. She found him at his little table, carefully coloring a new picture. This one showed 3 stick figures standing next to a big blue boat. Good morning, baby, she said, kissing the top of his head. What are you drawing? Our family boat, Jaden said matter-of-factly. For when Luke teaches me how to build one. Maya's heart fluttered. Jaden, about Luke. He's my daddy, isn't he? Jaden looked up at her with serious brown eyes. He looks like me, and he knows about boats, and he kept his promise about the story. Maya sat down beside him. Yes, baby. Luke is your daddy. Jaden nodded like this, confirmed something he'd already figured out. I knew it. I could tell. He went back to coloring. Is he going to live with us now? No, sweetie. Your daddy and I. We don't live together anymore. But he wants to spend time with you. He wants to get to know you. Like Tommy's dad? He doesn't live with Tommy, but he comes to soccer games and takes him for ice cream. Something like that. Jaden considered this while he added purple sails to his boat. Will he still come today, even though I'm not sick anymore? He promised he would, didn't he? Yes, and promises are important. Maya hugged her son tight. Yes, they are. At exactly 8 o'clock, while Maya was making breakfast and Jaden was getting dressed, there was a knock at the door. Maya looked through the peephole and saw Luke standing on the porch, holding a small paper bag and looking nervous. She opened the door. You're very punctual. I told him I'd come back. I wanted to keep that promise. Luke held up the bag. I brought coffee for you, and chocolate milk for Jaden. If that's okay. That's thoughtful. Come in. Jaden thundered down the stairs, still in his pajama shirt but wearing jeans and sneakers. Luke, you came back. I said I would, Luke said, crouching down to Jaden's level. How are you feeling this morning? Good. All better. Look. Jaden showed Luke his new drawing. I made us a family boat. Luke studied the picture seriously. That's a beautiful boat, and a beautiful family. Mommy says you're really my daddy. Luke's eyes flicked to Maya, then back to Jaden. That's right. I'm your dad. I know it's confusing because I haven't been around, but I want to be now, if that's okay with you. Jaden thought about this. Are you going to teach me how to build boats? If you want to learn. I do. I really, really do. Jaden bounced on his toes. Can we start today? Maya laughed. How about we start with breakfast? Luke, do you want to join us? Over pancakes and chocolate milk, they talked about simple things. Jaden told Luke about his school, his friends, his favorite TV shows. Luke told Jaden about his work, about the houses and furniture he built, about the tools he used. Do you like your job? Jaden asked. I love it. There's something special about taking raw wood and turning it into something useful, something beautiful. Like the rudder you made me? Exactly like that. Maya watched them together, amazed by how naturally they talked to each other, like they'd been having conversations like this for years instead of hours. After breakfast, Luke helped Maya clear the dishes while Jaden ran upstairs to get dressed properly. "He's handling this really well," Luke said quietly. "He's been wanting a father for so long. I think part of him always knew you existed." Maya rinsed a plate and handed it to Luke to dry. "The hard part will be building trust, making sure you really mean it when you say you're going to stick around." "I mean it, Maya. I know I have to prove that, but I mean it." When Jaden came back downstairs, he was carrying a small wooden toolbox that looked handmade. "Where did you get that?" Luke asked. "I made it at after-school program. Miss Rodriguez helped me. She said every boat builder needs good tools." Luke's face lit up. "That's amazing, Jaden. You made that yourself?" "Mostly. Miss Rodriguez helped with the hard parts. Want to see inside?" The toolbox held a few child-sized tools, some sandpaper, a small ruler, and several pieces of smooth driftwood Jaden had collected from the beach. "This is perfect," Luke said. "You know what? I think you're ready for your first real project." "Really? Today?" Luke looked at Maya. "If it's okay with your mom, maybe we could go to my workshop. I have some safe tools there, and some good wood for beginners." Maya hesitated. This felt like a big step. Taking Jaden to Luke's workspace felt like crossing a line from emergency co-parenting into something more permanent. "Where is your workshop?" she asked. "About 10 minutes from here. It's in an old warehouse near the waterfront. Very safe, and I could show you around first, so you know where he'd be." Jaden was bouncing again. "Please, Mommy, please." Maya looked at her son's excited face, then at Luke's hopeful one. "Okay, but I'm coming too. And if anyone gets overwhelmed or tired, we leave. No arguments." "Deal," Luke said. An hour later, they stood outside a converted warehouse near the Wilmington waterfront. The building was old brick with big windows, and Maya could smell sawdust and wood stain from the parking lot. "This is it," Luke said, unlocking a side door marked Bennett Woodworking. Inside, the space was bigger than Maya had expected. Workbenches lined the walls, covered with hand tools and partially finished projects. Wood was sorted and stacked everywhere, pine and oak and cherry and woods Maya didn't recognize. The concrete floor was swept clean, and morning light streamed through the high windows. "Wow," Jaden breathed. "It smells like trees." Luke laughed. "That's the smell of possibility. Every piece of wood wants to become something. We just have to figure out what." He led them to a corner where he'd set up what was obviously a beginner's workstation. A lower bench, simpler tools, safety equipment sized for small hands. "I got here early this morning and set this up," Luke admitted. "Just in case." Maya felt something flutter in her chest. He'd prepared for this. He'd thought ahead and made a space for Jaden. It was such a small thing, but it felt huge. "What are we going to build?" Jaden asked, putting on the child-sized safety glasses Luke handed him. "I thought we'd start with a simple boat. Nothing fancy, just something to get your hands used to working with wood." For the next 2 hours, Maya watched her son and his father work together. Luke was patient and encouraging, showing Jaden how to sand with the grain, how to measure twice and cut once, how to fit pieces together like a puzzle. Jaden was focused in a way Maya had rarely seen. He listened carefully to every instruction, asked thoughtful questions, and took pride in each small step. "You're a natural at this," Luke told him, as they attached the sail to their small boat. "I like building things. At home, I build things with my blocks, but this is better because it's real. The best things are real," Luke agreed. When they were finished, they had a simple wooden sailboat, about 8 inches long, with a white fabric sail and a tiny rudder that actually moved. Jaden held it like it was made of precious metal. "Can we test it?" he asked. Luke looked around the workshop, then grinned. "I have an idea." He filled a large plastic tub with water and set it on one of the lower workbenches. "Harbor testing," he announced. Jaden carefully set the boat in the water. It floated perfectly, sitting level and proud on the surface. When Luke blew gently on the sail, the boat moved across the tub like it was born to sail. "It works," Jaden shouted. "We built a real boat, and it works." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. She pulled out her phone and took a picture of Jaden and Luke, grinning at each other over their floating creation. "This is going in the fleet," Jaden declared. "But it's special because I built it myself," Well, me and Dad. Dad. He'd said it so naturally, like the word had been waiting in his mouth his whole life for the right moment to come out. Luke's eyes went wide and soft. Yeah, he said, his voice a little thick. We built it together. As they cleaned up the workspace, Jaden chattered about all the boats they could build next. A bigger sailboat, a motorboat, maybe even a canoe someday. Easy there, Captain, Maya laughed. Let's master one boat at a time. Luke handed Jaden a small cloth bag. For your tools, he said, so you can keep them safe and organized. Inside the bag were a few more tools, child-safe, but real. A small saw, a set of chisels, a tiny plane. All of them had JCB burned into the wooden handles. What does JCB stand for? Jaden asked. Jaden Carter Bennett, Luke said quietly. If that's okay with both of you. Maya's breath caught. Carter Bennett, their son's name carrying both of their histories. Jaden traced the letters with his finger. That's my whole name. My real whole name. That's right. On the way home, Jaden fell asleep in his car seat, clutching his new boat and tool bag. Maya followed Luke's truck through the quiet Saturday streets, thinking about how much had changed in less than 24 hours. At her house, Luke carried the sleeping Jaden inside and helped Maya settle him on the couch for a nap. They sat in the kitchen, drinking the coffee that had gone cold that morning. Thank you, Maya said, for today, for the way you were with him. I can see how much this means to you. It means everything, Luke said simply. Maya, I know we have a lot to figure out, about schedules and rules and how to make this work, but I want you to know I'm not going anywhere. Whatever it takes, however long it takes to earn your trust, I'm here. Maya looked at this man she'd once loved, then lost, then found again in the most unexpected way. I want to believe that. Then let me show you, not with words, with actions, with being here, consistently, until you don't have to wonder anymore. Outside, it started to rain softly against the windows. Maya thought about storms weathered alone and the strange comfort of sharing shelter. Okay, she said, let's try. The next morning was Sunday, and Maya woke up to the sound of Jaden talking to someone in the living room. She checked her phone. 7:30 a.m. Who could be here this early? She pulled on her robe and padded downstairs, following the sound of quiet voices. In the living room, she found Jaden sitting on the floor in his pajamas, showing his new boat to someone on the couch. Luke. Luke? Maya rubbed her eyes, wondering if she was still dreaming. What are you doing here? He looked up, and she could see he hadn't slept much. His hair was messy, and he was wearing the same clothes from yesterday. I'm sorry. I know it's early. Jaden heard me on the porch and let me in. You were on my porch. Luke's cheeks turned red. I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about everything that happened yesterday. About Jaden. About all of it. So I went for a drive around 6, and I ended up here. I was just sitting on your steps, trying to figure out what comes next. Maya sat down in the chair across from them. And Jaden found you there. I woke up early too, Jaden said helpfully. I wanted to see if my boat still floated in the bathtub, but when I looked out the window, Dad was sitting on our steps. He looked sad. I wasn't sad, buddy. Just thinking. Thinking can look like sad sometimes, Jaden said seriously. He was wise for 5 years old. Too wise, maybe. Maya studied Luke's tired face. Have you been here all night? Not all night, just since about 6. Luke ran his hands through his hair. I know this looks crazy. I know I'm probably moving too fast. But Maya, yesterday changed everything for me. Finding out I have a son, seeing you again, being in that workshop with both of you. I can't just go back to my regular life and pretend none of this happened. Nobody's asking you to pretend, Maya said gently. But Luke, you can't just camp out on my porch every time you're feeling overwhelmed. We need boundaries, rules, a plan. Jaden looked between his parents. Are you fighting? No, baby, Maya said quickly. We're just figuring out how to do this, how to be a family in a new way. Can Dad stay for breakfast, please? Maya looked at Luke's hopeful face and sighed. Go get dressed, Jaden. Real clothes this time. When Jaden ran upstairs, Maya turned to Luke. We need to talk about this, about what you expect, about what I can handle. I know. You're right. I'm sorry I just showed up. I should have called. Luke, I get that this is huge for you. It's huge for me too. But I've been doing this alone for 5 years. I have routines, I have rules, I have a way of keeping Jaden safe and happy. I can't have you disrupting all of that just because you're having feelings. Luke nodded. What do you need from me? Tell me how to do this right. Maya poured herself a cup of coffee and offered one to Luke. First, no more surprise visits. If you want to see Jaden, you call first. We schedule it. Okay. Second, we start slow. Maybe one afternoon a week, maybe a Saturday morning at your workshop. We build up to more time as we all get used to this. That makes sense. Third, we keep this about Jaden, not about us, not about what used to be between us. We focus on him and what he needs. Luke was quiet for a moment. What if what he needs is for us to get along, to be friends again? Maya's heart fluttered. Then we figure out how to be friends. But Luke, we can't rush into anything. We can't let Jaden think we're getting back together if we're not sure that's what we want. Are you sure that's not what you want? The question hung between them like a bridge neither one was ready to cross. Maya looked at this man she'd once loved completely, this man who'd broken her heart and left her to raise their son alone. He looked different now, older, more careful with his words, but she'd thought she knew him before too. I don't know, she said honestly. I don't know what I want except for Jaden to be happy and safe. That's all I want too. Jaden came back downstairs wearing jeans and a t-shirt with a sailboat on it. Can we make pancakes again? Dad liked them yesterday. I loved them yesterday, Luke agreed. As Maya mixed pancake batter, Luke and Jaden sat at the kitchen table working on a simple puzzle. She watched Luke's patience as Jaden tried to force pieces that didn't fit, how he gently guided their son's hands without taking over, how he celebrated each successful connection like Jaden had just solved world hunger. You're good with him, Maya said quietly. He's easy to be good with. He's incredible, Maya. You've done such a wonderful job raising him. Before Maya could respond, her phone rang. Tasha's name appeared on the screen. Hey, Tash. How's Jaden feeling this morning? Any leftover effects from last night? Maya glanced at Luke and Jaden, still focused on their puzzle. He's fine, full of energy. Good. I'm coming over with bagels and... Tasha paused. Wait, is someone there? I hear voices. Maya Carter. Please tell me Luke Bennett is not in your house at 8 o'clock on a Sunday morning. Okay, I won't tell you that. I'm coming over, right now. Tasha, you don't need to. The line went dead. Maya set down her phone and sighed. Trouble? Luke asked. My sister. She's protective. I remember. Luke's smile was rueful. She never liked me much. She liked you fine when we were dating. She stopped liking you when you broke my heart. 20 minutes later, Tasha arrived carrying a bag of bagels and wearing her fiercest expression. She walked into the kitchen, kissed Jaden good morning, nodded politely at Luke, and pulled Maya into the living room. What are you doing? Tasha whispered. Having breakfast with my son and his father. Maya, this man disappeared for 5 years. 5 years. And now he's back for 2 days and you're playing house with him? We're not playing house. We're figuring out co-parenting. By having sleepovers? He didn't sleep over. He was just here early. Tasha raised her eyebrows. Here early, on a Sunday morning, after 1 day of knowing he has a son. Maya couldn't argue with that. It did sound crazy when Tasha said it like that. Look, Tasha continued, I get that Jaden needs his father. I get that this is important. But Maya, you have to protect yourself. And you have to protect Jaden. This man hurt you once, badly. What happens when he decides this is too hard and disappears again? He won't. How do you know? Maya didn't have an answer for that. She wanted to believe Luke had changed, that he meant what he said about sticking around. But Tasha was right. She'd believed him before. They walked back into the kitchen, where Luke was helping Jaden count puzzle pieces. Tasha, Luke said, standing up. Good morning. Luke. Tasha's voice was cool but polite. Jaden, baby, why don't you go brush your teeth? I brought your favorite everything bagels. When Jaden was out of earshot, Tasha crossed her arms and looked at Luke. Let me be clear about something. That little boy in there is my heart. Maya is my heart. You hurt either one of them, and you'll have me to deal with. Understood? Understood, Luke said seriously. Tasha, I know I messed up before. I know I hurt Maya, and I know that hurt Jaden too, even if he doesn't remember. I'm not that same person anymore. Prove it. I plan to. The rest of breakfast was tense, but civil. Tasha asked Luke careful questions about his work, his plans, His living situation. Luke answered honestly, without defensiveness. Maya could see him making an effort to win Tasha over, or at least to show her he was serious. When Jaden finished eating, he brought his boat to the table. "Aunt Tasha, look what me and Dad built yesterday." Tasha examined the small sailboat carefully. "This is beautiful, Jaden. You did a really good job. Dad taught me. He has a whole workshop with tools and everything. He made me my own tools with my name on them." Tasha glanced at Luke, and Maya saw something shift in her expression. Surprise, maybe, or the beginning of possibility. "That sounds very special," Tasha said. After breakfast, Luke helped clean up and then announced he was leaving. "I should let you have your Sunday," he told Maya. "Family time." "When will we see you again?" Jaden asked. Luke looked at Maya. "When would be good for you?" Maya thought about the schedule they'd discussed earlier. "Wednesday? You could pick him up from school if you want. Maybe take him to the park for a couple hours." "I'd love that." Luke knelt down to Jaden's level. "Wednesday after school. I'll be there early, just like I promised yesterday. Can we work on another boat? If you want to. I always want to work on boats." After Luke left, Tasha helped Maya finish the dishes while Jaden played with his sailboat in the living room. "He's different," Tasha said quietly. "Different how?" "Older, more settled. When you two were married, he always seemed like he was looking for the exit, like he was just passing through. Today he seemed like he wants to stay." Maya nodded. "I noticed that too. The tools with Jaden's name on them. That was thoughtful. Permanent." "Yeah." Tasha dried a plate and set it in the cabinet. "I'm still worried, Maya. I'm worried you're going to fall for him again and he's going to break your heart again. But I can see how much this means to Jaden, and I can see how much Jaden means to him. So what do I do? You be careful, you go slow, and you make sure that whatever happens between you and Luke, Jaden doesn't get hurt." That afternoon, Maya and Jaden went to the grocery store. As they walked through the produce section, Jaden chatted about Luke, about boats, about all the things they were going to build together. "Mommy," Jaden said as Maya picked out apples, "are you and Dad going to get married again?" Maya nearly dropped the apple she was holding. "What? Tommy's parents got divorced, and then they got married again. Tommy said it was because they remembered how to love each other." Maya knelt down beside the cart. "Jaden, Daddy and I. It's complicated. Right now, we're just learning how to be friends again, how to take care of you together. But you could fall in love again, right? Like in the movies?" Maya's heart squeezed. "I don't know, baby. Maybe. But that's not something you need to worry about. All you need to know is that Daddy loves you very much, and I love you very much. And that's not going to change no matter what." "Okay." Jaden seemed satisfied with this answer. "Can we get the crackers that look like fish? Dad might like those." "We're not shopping for Dad, sweetie. But he might come over again, and good hosts always have snacks." Maya couldn't argue with that logic. Monday and Tuesday passed normally. Maya worked at the pediatric clinic, Jaden went to school, they had their usual routines. But everything felt different now, like they were waiting for something, like their family of two was about to become something bigger. Maya found herself thinking about Luke at odd moments, wondering what he was doing, if he was thinking about them too. She'd catch herself looking at her phone, hoping for a text. It felt dangerously like the beginning of falling in love again, and that scared her. Tuesday night, as she tucked Jaden into bed, he asked, "Is tomorrow Wednesday?" "Yes, baby. So Dad will pick me up from school." "That's the plan." Jaden grinned. I drew him another picture. "Want to see?" He reached under his pillow and pulled out a folded piece of paper. When Maya opened it, she saw a drawing of their family boat from the other day, but this time there were 3 people in it instead of stick figures. A woman with curly black hair, a man with brown hair, and a little boy between them. All of them were smiling. "It's us," Jaden said. "In the boat we're going to build together." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "It's beautiful, honey. Do you think Dad will like it?" "I think he'll love it." Wednesday afternoon, Maya left work early so she could be at Jaden's school for pickup. She wanted to see how Luke handled the school routine, wanted to make sure everything went smoothly. She arrived at Seaside Elementary at 2:25 p.m. Luke was already there, talking to Miss Alvarez, Jaden's teacher. He'd signed in properly and had his driver's license ready for identification. Maya watched from her car as he listened carefully to Miss Alvarez's instructions about pickup procedures. When the kids came out, Jaden spotted Luke immediately and ran to him. Luke swept him up in a careful hug, and Maya could see Jaden talking excitedly, probably about his day at school. Another parent, a man Maya recognized but didn't know well, approached Luke. "New in town?" she heard him ask. "Not new," Luke replied. "Just new to the pickup routine. I'm Nate Miller. My daughter Emma is in Jaden's class." Luke Bennett, Jaden's dad. Maya saw Nate's surprise. He'd probably assumed Luke was Maya's new boyfriend. In a small town like Wilmington, people notice things like that. "Great to meet you," Nate said. "Maybe we'll see you at the fall festival next week." "The fall festival?" "At the school. It's a big fundraiser. All the families come. There's a bake sale, games for the kids. Pretty fun." Maya got out of her car and walked over. "Hi," she said to Luke. "How did pickup go?" "Smoothly," Luke said. "Miss Alvarez explained all the procedures, and I met Nate here." "Hi, Maya," Nate said. "I was just telling Luke about the fall festival." "Oh, right. That's next Friday." Maya looked at Luke. "You don't have to. I mean, it's not really." "I'd love to come," Luke said. "If that's okay. I could help with setup or whatever needs doing." "The bake sale can always use volunteers," Nate offered helpfully. "Dad," Jaden interrupted, "can we go to your workshop now? I have something to show you." Luke looked at Maya. "Is that still the plan?" "Yes. Just have him back by dinner. 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, Luke repeated. "Got it." Maya watched them walk to Luke's truck together. Jaden was chattering away, showing Luke his picture. She saw Luke stop walking and crouch down to look at the drawing properly. Even from a distance, she could see the smile on his face. As they drove away, Nate said, "That's Jaden's dad?" I thought. "I mean, I'd never seen him before." "It's complicated," Maya said. "But good complicated?" Maya watched Luke's truck disappear around the corner. "I hope so." At 6 o'clock exactly, Luke's truck pulled into Maya's driveway. Jaden came running to the house, covered in sawdust and grinning from ear to ear. "Mummy, we made a boat that really sails. Want to see?" Luke followed more slowly, carrying a plastic tub and a small wooden boat. "Sorry, he's a mess. I tried to brush off the sawdust, but..." "It's fine," Maya said. "He's happy. That's what matters." They set up the tub in the backyard, and Jaden demonstrated how his new boat sailed across the water. This one was a little more sophisticated than the first. It had a movable rudder and adjustable sails. "You taught him all that in one afternoon?" Maya asked. "He's a fast learner, and he has good instincts." Luke watched Jaden guide the boat around a leaf that was floating in the tub. He asked a lot of questions about angles and wind direction. "Smart kid. He gets that from his dad, I think." Luke looked at her in surprise. "You think so? You were always good at figuring out how things worked, at seeing the big picture and the small details at the same time." They stood side by side, watching their son play. Maya noticed how comfortable this felt, how natural, like they'd been co-parenting for years instead of days. "Maya," Luke said quietly, "the fall festival that Nate mentioned, would it be okay if I came? I don't want to step on any toes, but I'd like to be part of Jaden's school life if possible." "Of course. Actually, I was thinking, if you want, maybe you could help me with the bake sale. I always volunteer, but it's a lot of work for one person." "I'd love to help." Jaden looked up from his boat. "Are we all going to the festival together, like a family?" Maya and Luke exchanged glances. "Like a team," Maya said carefully. "We're all on Team Jaden." "I like that," Jaden said. "Team Jaden is the best team." After Luke left, Maya helped Jaden with his bath and homework. As she tucked him into bed, he said, "Today was really fun, Mommy." "I'm glad, baby. Did you and Dad have a good time?" "The best time. He showed me how to make sails that really catch the wind. And he said maybe next time we can make a boat big enough for my action figures to ride in." "That sounds exciting." Jaden was quiet for a moment, then said, "Mommy, do you like Dad?" Maya considered how to answer this. "I think your dad is a good man, Jaden. I think he loves you very much. And I think he's trying very hard to be the best father he can be. But do you like him? Like, do you want to be friends with him?" Maya smoothed Jaden's hair. "Yeah, baby. I think I do want to be friends with him." That seemed to satisfy Jaden. He closed his eyes and drifted off to sleep, one hand curled around the wooden boat from yesterday. Maya went downstairs and found herself cleaning the kitchen that was already clean, folding laundry that was already folded. She was restless in a way she hadn't been in years. Like her carefully ordered life was shifting into something new, and she wasn't sure if she should be excited or terrified. Her phone buzzed. A text from Luke. Asterisk. Thank you for today. Jaden is incredible. You're doing an amazing job with him. Asterisk. Maya stared at the message for a long time before responding. Asterisk. Thank you for being so good with him. He's been talking about boats non-stop since Saturday. Asterisk. Asterisk. Is that okay? I don't want to overwhelm him with too many new interests. Asterisk. Asterisk. It's perfect. He's needed something to be passionate about, something that's just his. Asterisk. Asterisk. Maya? Asterisk. Asterisk. Yeah? Asterisk. Asterisk. I'm really glad you called me the other night. I know it was hard. I know you had every reason not to, but I'm grateful you did. Asterisk. Maya's fingers hovered over the keyboard. She wanted to say so many things, that she was glad too. That seeing him with Jaden felt like watching a puzzle piece click into place, that she was scared of how right this felt. Instead, she typed, Asterisk, good night, Luke. Asterisk. Asterisk. Good night, Maya. Asterisk. The next few days followed a similar pattern. Luke picked Jaden up from school on Friday and took him to the park. They fed ducks and talked about the different kinds of boats they saw on the river. Saturday morning, Luke came over early but not too early, and he called first to help Maya with grocery shopping and errands. Maya was surprised by how much easier everything was with another adult helping. Luke carried heavy bags, entertained Jaden in the checkout line, and reached things on high shelves. Simple things, but they made a difference. At the hardware store, Jaden ran ahead to look at something, and Maya found herself walking beside Luke in comfortable silence. This is nice, Luke said quietly. What is this? Being here with you and Jaden, doing normal family things. He paused. I know we're not. I know this isn't, but it feels good. Being part of the everyday stuff. Maya nodded. It did feel good. Dangerously good. Saturday night, Maya's neighbor, Mrs. Ellison, came over with a casserole and an excuse to check out the young man who's been fixing things around here. That porch step is solid as a rock now, Mrs. Ellison announced, settling herself on Maya's couch like she planned to stay a while. Luke fixed that, Jaden said proudly. He's my dad. He builds things. Does he now? Mrs. Ellison's eyes sparkled with curiosity. And where has this father of yours been, if you don't mind an old lady asking? Maya tensed, but Jaden answered matter-of-factly. He was away working, but now he's back and we're building boats together. Well, that sounds lovely. And Maya, dear, you look happier than I've seen you in years. After Mrs. Ellison left, Maya put Jaden to bed and sat on the front porch steps. The same steps Luke had fixed. They were solid under her weight, no wobble or squeak. Her phone rang. Luke. Hey, she answered. Hey, I wanted to check in about the fall festival tomorrow. Make sure we're coordinated. I'll be there at 4 to help set up the bake sale. You can meet me then if you want. Sounds perfect. Maya? Yeah? Mrs. Ellison was right, you know. You do look happier lately. Maya's cheeks warmed. I feel lighter, I guess. It's nice not carrying everything alone. You never have to carry it alone again. I mean that. After they hung up, Maya sat on the porch for a long time, looking at the stars and thinking about promises, about second chances, about the way Luke looked at Jaden like he was the most amazing thing in the world. Maybe Tasha was right to worry. Maybe Maya was setting herself up for heartbreak. But watching her son bloom under his father's attention, seeing the joy on both their faces when they worked together, maybe some risks were worth taking. Tomorrow was the fall festival. Tomorrow, she and Luke would work side by side, supporting their son's school and his community. Tomorrow, they'd be a team in front of everyone who knew them. Maya thought about that little boy in the hospital bed 5 days ago, asking for his daddy. 5 days, and their whole world had changed. She looked up at the stars and made a wish she didn't dare say out loud. Then she went inside, locked the door, and fell asleep thinking about wooden boats and gentle hands and the way Luke said her name like it was something precious he'd thought he'd lost forever. Sunday morning brought the fall festival and a nervous energy Maya hadn't felt since high school. She changed her outfit 3 times before Jaden asked why she was being weird. I'm not being weird, she said, settling on jeans and a sweater that made her eyes look bright. You're wearing lipstick to a bake sale. Mommy, that's weird. Maya looked in the mirror. He was right. She wiped off the lipstick and tried to convince herself she wasn't primping for Luke Bennett. At the school, the festival was already in full swing. Families gathered around game booths and food tables. The smell of popcorn and cotton candy filled the air. Maya found the bake sale set up in the cafeteria, where volunteers were arranging dozens of homemade cookies, cakes, and pies on long tables. "Maya," called Sarah Chen, the PTA president. "Perfect timing. We need someone to handle the cash register." Maya tied on an apron and got to work. She was counting out change for a customer when she heard Jaden's excited voice. "Dad, you came." Maya looked up to see Luke walking into the cafeteria with Jaden riding on his shoulders. He was wearing a blue button-down shirt that made his eyes look warm, and he was smiling at their son's enthusiasm. "Sorry we're late," Luke said as he set Jaden down. "Someone decided he needed to show me every single decoration in the hallway." "They're really good decorations," Jaden defended himself. Luke approached the bake sale table. "What can I do to help?" Sarah Chen appeared at Maya's elbow. "You must be Luke. Maya's told us so much about you." Maya felt her cheeks heat up. She hadn't told Sarah anything about Luke, except that Jaden's father would be helping with the bake sale. "All good things, I hope," Luke said with that easy smile Maya remembered from when they were dating. "Oh yes, Maya. Why don't you show Luke the system while I handle the register for a bit?" For the next 2 hours, Maya and Luke worked side by side, wrapping purchases, making change, and restocking the tables as items sold. They fell into an easy rhythm, anticipating each other's movements, sharing smiles when Jaden periodically ran over to report on his festival adventures. "This is really nice," Luke said during a brief lull. "Being part of this, being part of his school community. It's important to Jaden that we're here," Maya agreed. "He was so excited to show you off." "Show me off." Maya gestured around the cafeteria, where other parents were clearly watching them work together. "Small town, remember? Everyone's curious about Jaden's mysterious father, who suddenly appeared." Luke's face grew serious. "Does that bother you? People talking? Let them talk. As long as Jaden's happy, I don't care what anyone thinks." Luke looked at her with something soft and grateful in his expression. "You're amazing. You know that?" Before Maya could respond, Jaden came running over with a small wooden boat in his hands. "Look what I won at the ring toss," he announced. "It's perfect for our fleet." Luke examined the boat carefully. "This is beautiful, buddy. But you know what? I think it could use a few improvements. Maybe we could work on it together this week?" "Really? What kind of improvements?" "Well, it needs a proper rudder, and maybe some better sails. We could make it really special." Jaden's eyes lit up. "Team Jaden Boat Improvement Project?" "Exactly." Maya watched this exchange with a full heart. The easy way, Luke included himself in Jaden's excitement. The way he made everything feel like an adventure they could share. As the afternoon wound down and they cleaned up the bake sale, Luke said, "Maya, would it be okay if I took Jaden to dinner tonight? There's a pizza place near the waterfront that has boats hanging from the ceiling. I thought he might like it. Can we, Mommy? Please?" Jaden bounced on his toes. "If you want to," Maya said. "But not too late. School tomorrow. 7 o'clock back home?" Luke suggested. "Perfect." As Maya watched them walk away together, Jaden's small hand in Luke's big one, she felt Tasha appear beside her. "When did you get here?" Maya asked. "About an hour ago." "I've been watching." Tasha handed Maya a cup of cider from one of the booths. "You know what I noticed?" "What?" "The way people look at you two together, like you belong together, like this is how it's supposed to be." Maya sipped her cider and thought about that. "Sometimes it feels that way. And sometimes I remember how much it hurt when he left, how alone I felt, how scared I was that I'd have to raise Jaden by myself." Tasha nodded. "But Maya, look at what you did. You raised an incredible little boy. You built a good life. You became strong enough to handle anything. You don't need Luke Bennett to be complete. I know that. But wanting him anyway, that's different than needing him. That's choosing him because you want to, not because you have to." Maya looked at her sister in surprise. "That almost sounds like approval." "I'm getting there," Tasha admitted. "He's been consistent this week. He shows up when he says he will. He calls first. He focuses on Jaden and Maya. He looks at you like you hung the moon. He looks at Jaden that way too. That's what gives me hope. A man who loves his child that much. That's a man who might stick around." That night, Luke brought Jaden home at exactly 7 o'clock, full of pizza and stories about the restaurant's boat collection. As they said goodnight on the front porch, Luke hesitated. "Maya, I was wondering. Next weekend is supposed to be nice weather. Maybe we could take Jaden to the beach. Let him see some real boats. That sounds fun. All three of us, I mean. If you want to come. Maya's heart fluttered. A day at the beach. Like a real family outing. Okay, she heard herself say. Yes, I'd like that. Luke's smile was bright enough to power the whole neighborhood. Great, I'll plan something special. As Maya tucked Jaden into bed, he said, Mommy, I think this was the best day ever. Even better than building boats with Dad. That was part of it. But the best part was having both of you there, together, like a real family. Maya's throat tightened. We are a real family, baby. Just maybe not in the way you see in movies. But we could be, right? Like Tommy's parents? I don't know, Jaden. But I know your dad loves you very much. And I love you very much. And that's what matters most. I love both of you too, Jaden said sleepily. And I think you're starting to love each other again. Out of the mouths of babes. Maya kissed his forehead and turned off the light, her heart full of hope and fear in equal measure. Downstairs, she found a text from Luke waiting on her phone. Asterisk. Thank you for today, for letting me be part of it all. Jaden had the best time, but honestly, so did I. The best part was working with you. We make a good team. Asterisk. Maya stared at the message for a long time. They did make a good team. In all the ways that mattered, they clicked. They anticipated each other's needs, supported each other's strengths, covered each other's weaknesses. Asterisk. We do make a good team. Asterisk. She typed back. Asterisk. See you Wednesday for pickup. Asterisk. Asterisk. Wouldn't miss it. Sweet dreams, Maya. Asterisk. Asterisk. Sweet dreams. Luke. Asterisk. Maya turned off her phone and sat in her quiet living room, surrounded by toy boats and finger paintings and all the evidence of the life she'd built for herself and her son. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities to trust or doubt, new chances to build something lasting or watch it fall apart. But tonight, she felt hopeful. Tonight, she felt like maybe, just maybe, they were all exactly where they were supposed to be. The beach day came with perfect October weather, warm sun, cool breeze, and waves that sparkled like scattered diamonds. Maya packed sandwiches and sunscreen while Jaden ran around the house in circles, too excited to stand still. Is Dad bringing his truck, or are we all going together? Jaden asked for the 5th time. We're meeting him there. Remember? Maya checked her beach bag one more time. Towels, snacks, first aid kit, extra clothes in case Jaden got soaked. She'd learned to be prepared for everything when you were a single parent. Well, not single anymore. Co-parenting. The word still felt strange in her mouth. Luke was waiting for them in the parking lot at Wrightsville Beach, leaning against his truck with a large cooler and what looked like a kite shaped like a sailboat. When Jaden saw him, he broke into a run. Dad, you brought a kite. I thought we could test the wind conditions, Luke said seriously. Every good sailor needs to understand wind patterns. Maya laughed. You're turning him into a proper boat nerd. Is that a bad thing? No, she said, watching Jaden examine the kite with intense concentration. It's perfect. They found a spot on the beach away from the crowds, and Luke spread out a large blanket, while Maya set up the umbrella. Jaden immediately began building a sand castle, but not just any castle. This one needed a harbor for his fleet of toy boats. Ambitious project, Luke observed, settling beside Maya on the blanket. He doesn't do anything small, Maya said. Even his dreams are big. They watched Jaden work, his tongue poking out in concentration as he dug channels and built walls. Other families dotted the beach around them, kids shrieking in the waves, parents reading books, teenagers playing volleyball. Maya tried to remember the last time she'd felt this relaxed. Maya, Luke said quietly, can I ask you something? Sure. What was it like? Being pregnant and thinking I didn't care? The question caught her off guard. She'd been expecting something lighter, about sunscreen or lunch plans. Terrifying, she said honestly. I was 23, working at a different clinic that paid half what I make now, living in a tiny apartment. I kept thinking about how we could barely take care of ourselves when we were married, and now I was going to have a baby alone. Luke's face was pained. I wish I had known. I wish you had too. But Luke, I also wish I had tried harder to find you. I gave up too easily. I let pride and hurt feelings convince me that you just didn't want us. We both made mistakes. Maya nodded, watching Jaden fill his moat with seawater using a plastic bucket. But we made something incredible anyway. Yeah, we did. Luke's hand moved across the blanket until his fingers touched hers. Maya didn't pull away. His skin was warm and calloused from years of working with wood. Familiar, even after all this time. "Mum, Dad, come see the harbor," Jaden called from his sand creation. They walked over to admire his work. The sandcastle had grown into an elaborate structure with towers and walls and a surprisingly sophisticated harbor, complete with docking areas for different-sized boats. "This is amazing, buddy," Luke said. "You're a natural engineer." "What's an engineer?" "Someone who figures out how to build things, how to solve problems with design and planning." Jaden beamed. "I like solving problems, I can tell." They spent the next hour helping Jaden perfect his harbor and launch his toy boats in the shallow moat. Luke showed him how the wind affected the sails, how the angle of the boat changed its direction. Maya took pictures of their serious nautical discussions. When they broke for lunch, Luke pulled out sandwiches from his cooler. "I hope turkey and Swiss is okay, and I got those apple slices Jaden likes." Maya stared at him. "You remembered that he likes apple slices cut thin, not chunky." "Of course I remembered. It's just, that's such a specific thing. A parent thing." Luke's expression grew soft. "Maya, just because I missed the first 5 years doesn't mean I'm not paying attention now. I notice everything about him. Everything." They ate lunch and flew the sailboat kite, taking turns holding the string while Jaden shouted directions about wind speed and altitude. When a family with a little girl asked if they could share the beach space for a game of frisbee, Maya and Luke found themselves naturally falling into conversation with the other parents. "How long have you been married?" the woman asked. Maya and Luke looked at each other. "We're not," Maya started. "It's complicated," Luke finished with a smile. "Oh, divorced parents doing the co-parenting thing?" the man said. "That's great. My brother and his ex do that. Kids need both parents when it's possible." "Definitely," Luke agreed. After the family moved on, Maya said, "That was smooth." "What?" "The way you handled that. You didn't make it weird or awkward." "Why would I make it weird? We are co-parenting. We're doing it well. I'm proud of that." Maya felt something warm unfurl in her chest. Pride. Luke was proud of what they were building together. As the afternoon wore on, Jaden played in the waves while Maya and Luke sat on the blanket, occasionally calling out warnings about going too deep or reminders about staying where they could see him. "He's fearless," Luke observed. "He gets that from you. I was always the cautious one." "You still are. It's one of the things I—" Luke stopped himself. "One of the things you— What?" Luke was quiet for a moment, watching Jaden chase a wave back toward the ocean. "One of the things I loved about you. The way you thought things through, made sure everyone was safe. I was always jumping into things without looking, but you made me slow down and consider the consequences." Maya's heart stuttered. "Loved. Past tense, but still. "You made me braver," she said softly. "When we were together, I took more risks, tried new things. I became more myself." They sat in silence, the weight of their shared history settling between them like sand. "Maya," Luke said, his voice careful, "are we going to talk about it? About what's happening between us?" Maya's pulse quickened. "What do you mean?" "You know what I mean. This thing that's been building all week. The way we look at each other. The way this feels like more than just co-parenting." Maya stared out at the ocean, watching Jaden build a new castle closer to the water's edge. "I don't know if I'm ready to talk about it." "That's okay. But Maya, I need you to know, I'm not here just for Jaden. I mean, I am here for him, and he's the most important thing. But being with you again, working together, seeing the amazing woman you've become, I'd be lying if I said that wasn't affecting me too." Maya's throat felt tight. "Luke, I'm not asking for anything. I'm not pushing. I just wanted you to know where I stand." Before Maya could respond, Jaden came running back to them, dripping wet and grinning. "The waves knocked down my second castle," he announced. "But it was awesome." "That's what waves do," Luke said, helping Jaden dry off with a towel. "They're always changing things. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's hard, but it's always natural." Maya wondered if he was talking about more than just waves. As they packed up to leave, Jaden fell asleep in his car seat before they'd even left the parking lot. The sun and ocean air had worn him out completely. "Want to grab coffee?" Luke asked, through Maya's open car window. "I know a place near here. Jaden can sleep in the car." Maya looked at her sleeping son, then at Luke's hopeful face. Okay. But somewhere we can park where I can see him. They found a coffee shop with outdoor seating and parked their cars side by side so they could keep an eye on Jaden through the windows. Luke brought Maya a latte, made exactly how she used to like it, she noticed. Good memory, she said. For some things, they sat at a small table under an umbrella, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the sidewalk. Maya felt nervous in a way she hadn't since she was a teenager. Like this was a real date instead of just two parents grabbing coffee. Luke, she said, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Okay, are you sure about this? About being here, being part of Jaden's life? Because it's not going to be easy. Kids are expensive and time-consuming and exhausting. They get sick at inconvenient times. They have bad days and mood swings and phases where they only want to eat mac and cheese. And if you decide a year from now that this is too hard. Maya, Luke reached across the table and took her hand. I'm not going anywhere. I know you have every reason not to trust that, but I need you to believe me. I want to be Jaden's father. Not just the fun weekend guy, but really his father. I want to be there for homework and doctor's appointments and teenage attitude. I want to teach him to drive someday. I want to embarrass him in front of his prom date. I want all of it. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. You say that now. I'll say it in a year too, and 5 years, and 20 years. Luke's grip on her hand tightened. Maya, I lost 5 years with my son. I'm not losing any more. They sat in silence, hands linked across the small table. Maya wanted to believe him. She wanted it so much it scared her. What about work? She asked. What about your life? You've been living as a single guy for 5 years. Now suddenly you're thinking about homework and doctor's appointments. That's a big change. Luke was quiet for a moment. Actually, there's something I should tell you. About work. Maya's stomach dropped. What about work? I got a call on Friday from my old boss, Caleb. There's a foreman position opening up in Charlotte. Good money, regular hours, benefits. He offered it to me. Maya pulled her hand back. Charlotte. It's 2 hours away. I'd have to relocate. Are you going to take it? Luke looked at her steadily. No. Luke, you don't have to turn down opportunities because of us. We can work out visitation, weekends. Maya, stop. Luke's voice was firm. I'm not taking the job because I don't want it. Not anymore. 2 weeks ago, before I knew about Jaden, it would have been perfect. But now I have a son who needs me close. And I have. He paused. I have a life here that I want to build. Maya stared at him. You're turning down a promotion because of us. I'm turning down a promotion because it doesn't fit with the life I want now. There's a difference. In her car, Jaden stirred and opened his eyes, looking around in confusion. Maya waved at him, and his face broke into a sleepy smile. He's waking up, she said. I should get him home for dinner. As they walked back to their cars, Luke said, Maya, I meant what I said. About the job, about being here. I know you need time to trust that, but I'm not going anywhere. That night, as Maya gave Jaden his bath, he chatted about their beach day. I liked when you and Dad sat together on the blanket, he said as Maya shampooed his hair. You looked happy. I was happy. It was a nice day. Dad makes you smile different than other people do. Maya paused with her hands still in Jaden's sudsy hair. Different how? Like when you smile at me. Like you love him. Out of the mouths of babes. Jaden, it's complicated. I know. You say that a lot. But complicated doesn't mean bad, right? Right. Complicated doesn't mean bad. Tuesday evening, Luke came over to help with Jaden's bath and bedtime routine. It was becoming a regular thing. Luke would show up around 6 with takeout or groceries. They'd eat dinner together, then he'd help get Jaden ready for bed. Maya told herself it was just about Jaden, about giving their son consistent time with his father, but she couldn't deny how much she looked forward to these evenings, how right it felt to have Luke in her kitchen, reading stories in Jaden's room, discussing their son's day over cups of coffee after Jaden was asleep. This Tuesday, Luke seemed distracted. He was his usual self with Jaden, patient and engaged and loving, but Maya could see tension in his shoulders, something weighing on his mind. After Jaden was asleep, they sat on the front porch with their coffee. The evening was warm for October, and the neighborhood was quiet, except for the distant sound of a dog barking. Everything okay? Maya asked. You seem off tonight. Luke sighed and ran his hands through his hair. I talked to my dad today. How did that go? About as well as you'd expect. He's not happy about the job situation. Maya's stomach tightened. You told him about turning down Charlotte? I told him I was thinking about it. He said I was being an idiot, throwing away my career for... Luke's voice trailed off. For what? For a woman who's already left me once, and a kid who doesn't really know me. Maya felt like she'd been slapped. He said that, among other things. Luke looked at her with tired eyes. Maya, there's something else. Something I need to tell you about my dad and why we lost touch 5 years ago. Maya's heart started beating faster. What do you mean? Luke was quiet for a long moment, staring out at the street. That letter you sent me, after the divorce, the one that came back, what about it? I don't think it came back because of the address. I think it came back because my dad sent it back. Maya felt the blood drain from her face. What? And the letter I wrote you, the apology. I gave it to him to mail while I was working those double shifts. I never heard back, so I assumed you didn't want to reconcile. But Maya, what if he never sent it? What if he threw it away? Maya stared at him. Are you saying your father deliberately kept us apart? I'm saying it's possible. He never approved of our marriage. He thought I was too young, thought you were, thought we were too different. He made comments about mixed marriages, about how hard it would be for our kids. Our kids. Maya's voice was bitter. You mean kids like Jaden? I told him about Jaden today, about you calling, about the hospital, about everything. And Maya, he wasn't surprised. He wasn't shocked that I had a son. He was angry that I was getting involved with that situation again. Maya felt sick. That situation. He called your son a situation. I told him if he couldn't accept Jaden, if he couldn't be respectful to you, then he wasn't welcome in our lives. Any of our lives. Luke, I'm done making excuses for him, Maya. I'm done letting him influence my decisions. 5 years ago, I listened when he said, maybe the divorce was for the best. Maybe you'd be happier without me. I let his opinions get in my head. I'm not doing that anymore. Maya reached over and took Luke's hand. I'm sorry. I'm sorry he's not supportive. I'm sorry he's making this harder. It doesn't matter. What matters is us. You, me, and Jaden. That's my family now. The word hung between them like a promise. Family. Luke, Maya said carefully, when you say us, what exactly do you mean? Luke turned to look at her fully. I mean, I'm in love with you again, Maya. Maybe I never stopped being in love with you. I know that complicates things. I know you need time and space and proof that I'm not going to disappear again. But I can't pretend it's just about Jaden anymore. Being with you these past 2 weeks, seeing the incredible woman you've become, the amazing mother you are. I'm falling for you all over again. Maya's heart was pounding so hard she was sure Luke could hear it. Luke, I'm not asking you to say it back. I'm not asking for anything except the chance to show you that this time can be different. That we can be different. Maya looked at this man she'd once loved completely, this man who'd broken her heart and left her to raise their son alone. He was different now, more settled, more sure of himself. But was she ready to risk her heart again? I need time, she whispered. You have all the time you need, and I need to know you mean it about your father, about putting Jaden first. I mean it, because if Hank can't accept Jaden, if he's going to make comments about mixed kids or our situation, then I won't have him around my son. Our son, Luke agreed. And you're right. If he can't be respectful, he can't be part of this. They sat in silence for a while, holding hands on the porch swing. Maya's mind was racing, but her heart felt strangely calm, like something that had been unsettled for 5 years was finally finding its place. Maya, Luke said softly, can I ask you something? Yeah. Do you think you could love me again? Someday? Maya looked at him in the dim porch light. This man who'd shown up when she called, who'd carved wooden boats for their son, who'd turned down a promotion to stay close to his family. I think, she said carefully, I might already be starting to. Luke's smile was like sunrise. He leaned over and kissed her forehead, soft and sweet and full of promise. That's enough for now, he said. Wednesday brought Luke's regular school pickup with Jaden, but this time he had a surprise. Instead of going to the workshop or the park, he drove to his apartment. I want to show you where I live, he told Jaden as they climbed the stairs to his second-floor unit. And I want you to help me with something. Luke's apartment was neat and sparse. A couch, a coffee table, a small dining set. The kitchen was basic but functional, but what caught Jaden's attention immediately was the large window that looked out over the Cape Fear River. "You can see boats from your house," Jaden exclaimed, pressing his face to the glass. "That's why I picked this place. I like watching the river traffic. It's like having TV, but better." Luke laughed. "Exactly. But Jaden, I wanted to ask you something. I'm thinking about maybe finding a bigger place, somewhere with room for you to have your own space when you visit. What do you think?" Jaden's eyes went wide. "My own room? At your house? If you want that, we could set up a workbench for boat building. Maybe put up some shelves for your fleet. Could Mummy come see it too?" Luke glanced at Jaden, choosing his words carefully. "If she wanted to, sure. I think she'd like that. She likes boats too, even if she doesn't build them." They spent the afternoon looking at apartment listings online, with Jaden offering serious opinions about proximity to water views and workshop potential. Luke made notes about Jaden's preferences, treating his 5-year-old's input with the same consideration he'd give an adult consultant. "This one has a balcony." Jaden pointed to a listing near the waterfront. "We could put a telescope there and watch for dolphins." "That's a great idea. What else should we look for?" "A kitchen where Mommy would like to cook. She likes kitchens with lots of light." Luke made another note. Good thinking. When they got back to Maya's house, Jaden burst through the front door full of news about their apartment hunting adventure. "We're going to find a place with my own room and a workshop and a balcony for dolphin watching," he announced. Maya looked at Luke questioningly. "I thought it was time to start planning for overnight visits," Luke said. "If that's okay with you." "Overnight visits?" Maya felt a flutter of nerves. Letting Jaden spend the night at Luke's place felt like another big step, another level of trust. "We don't have to rush into it," Luke said, reading her expression. "But eventually, if you're comfortable with it." "I want to sleep at Dad's house," Jaden declared. "We could work on boats after dinner, and I could wake up and make him breakfast." Maya smiled at her son's enthusiasm. "We'll see, baby. Let's take it one step at a time." That night, after Luke left, Maya found herself looking around her duplex with new eyes. For 3 years, this had been their safe haven, her and Jaden against the world. But now it felt different, like it was waiting for something, like it might be too small for the family they were becoming. Thursday evening, Luke arrived looking troubled again. He helped with dinner and bath time as usual, but Maya could see the tension in his shoulders, the way he kept checking his phone. "What's wrong?" she asked, after they'd tucked Jaden into bed. "My dad called again. 3 times, actually. He wants to meet." "Meet?" "He wants to see Jaden. He says he's been thinking about what I said, about family being important." Maya felt her guard go up immediately. "What did you tell him?" "That it was up to you, that if he wants to meet his grandson, he has to be respectful. No comments about our relationship, no judgment about Jaden's mixed heritage, no opinions about our situation." Maya was quiet for a moment. "What do you want to do?" "Honestly, I want to give him a chance. He's my dad, and he's Jaden's grandfather. Maybe seeing Jaden will change his perspective. And if it doesn't, if he says something hurtful, then we leave immediately and he doesn't get another chance." Maya thought about it. She remembered Hank from when she and Luke were married, a gruff but not unkind man who'd never quite warmed to her, but had never been outright rude either. Maybe Luke was right. Maybe meeting Jaden would soften him. "Okay," she said finally. "But I want to meet somewhere public, somewhere we can leave if we need to. The park near the river? Saturday afternoon? That works. But Luke, at the first sign of disrespect, we're out of there. I promise." Friday brought the school Fall Festival Bake Sale follow-up, a smaller volunteer event to distribute leftover baked goods to the local food bank. Maya and Luke had signed up to help, and they spent the morning boxing cookies and cakes while Jaden was at school. Working together in the school kitchen, they fell into the same easy rhythm they'd found at the festival. Luke packed boxes while Maya organized inventory sheets. They talked about Jaden's progress in school, about weekend plans, about ordinary things that felt extraordinary because they were sharing them. "You know," Luke said as he taped up a box of muffins, "I never thought I'd enjoy this kind of thing. Volunteer work, school events, PTA meetings." "PTA meetings?" Luke's cheeks reddened. "I may have asked Sarah Chen about joining, if that's okay with you." Maya stared at him. "You want to join the PTA?" "I want to be involved in Jaden's school life. I want to know his teachers, understand his curriculum, help with fundraisers. I want to be a real parent, Maya, not just the guy who shows up for the fun stuff." Maya felt something warm and grateful bloom in her chest. This was what she'd dreamed of during all those lonely parent-teacher conferences and school events, having a partner who cared as much as she did. "I think that's wonderful," she said softly. They worked in comfortable silence for a while, the kind of companionable quiet that came from knowing someone well. Maya found herself watching Luke's hands as he worked, strong and gentle, the same hands that had carved tiny boats for their son. "Maya," Luke said suddenly, "tomorrow, when we meet my dad, I want you to know that whatever happens, whatever he says, it doesn't change anything for me. You and Jaden are my priority, not his approval." "I know," Maya said, and she realized she meant it. She did know. Luke had proven it over and over in the past 2 weeks. "Good," Luke said. Then, more quietly, "I love you, Maya. I need you to know that, going into tomorrow." Maya's heart skipped. He'd said it again, more directly this time. And this time, she felt ready to acknowledge it. "I love you too," she whispered. Luke stopped what he was doing and looked at her fully. "Really? Really? It scares me, but it's true. I love who you've become. I love the father you are to Jaden. I love the way you make me feel like we're a team instead of just 2 people trying to figure things out." Luke crossed the small space between them and cupped her face in his hands. "Can I kiss you?" Maya nodded, and Luke leaned down to press his lips to hers. It was soft and sweet and tasted like second chances, like coming home after a long, difficult journey. When they broke apart, Maya laughed softly. "We're kissing in the elementary school kitchen." "Best first kiss ever," Luke grinned. "Second first kiss," Maya corrected. "Right. Second first kiss. Even better." They finished their volunteer work with secret smiles and stolen glances, like teenagers with a crush. Maya felt lighter than she had in years, scared still, but hopeful in a way that felt sustainable. That evening, they told Jaden about the plan to meet his grandfather. "I have a grandfather?" Jaden asked, his eyes wide. "You have 2 grandfathers," Maya said. "Your dad's father and my dad. But my dad, he died before you were born. But Dad's father is still alive." "Very much alive," Luke said. "His name is Hank. He's excited to meet you." "Is he nice?" Luke and Maya exchanged glances. "He's different from us," Luke said carefully. "He grew up in a different time, when people didn't always understand that families can look lots of different ways. But I think when he meets you, he's going to see how special you are." "What if he doesn't like me?" Maya's heart clenched. "Baby, if he doesn't like you, that's his problem, not yours. You are perfect exactly as you are. But I want him to like me. I want to have a grandfather." Luke knelt down beside Jaden's chair. "Buddy, I want that too, more than anything. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure he treats you the way you deserve to be treated. Okay? Okay. Can I bring one of my boats to show him?" "I think that's a perfect idea." Saturday morning dawned grey and drizzly, matching Maya's mood. She dressed Jaden in his nicest jeans and the button-down shirt Luke had bought him, then changed her own outfit 3 times before settling on a simple dress that made her feel confident. "You look pretty, Mommy," Jaden said as they walked to the car. "Thank you, baby. Are you nervous about meeting Grandfather Hank?" Maya paused with her hand on the car door. "A little bit. Are you?" "A little bit too. But Dad will be there, so it'll be okay." Maya hoped Jaden was right. They met Luke at Greenfield Park, near the playground where families often gathered on weekends. Luke was waiting by the picnic tables, and Maya could see the tension in his posture, even from a distance. "How are you feeling?" she asked as they approached. "Like I'm about to introduce my son to a man who might not deserve to know him," Luke said honestly. A few minutes later, a beat-up pickup truck pulled into the parking lot. Maya watched as an older man climbed out slowly, favoring his left knee. Hank Bennett was tall like Luke, but thinner, with graying hair and weathered skin that spoke of years spent working outdoors. He wore clean jeans and a button-down shirt, like he'd made an effort for the occasion. Luke stood up straighter as his father approached. "Dad." "Luke." Hank's eyes moved to Maya, then to Jaden, who was partially hidden behind her legs. "Maya." "Hello, Hank." Maya's voice was polite but cool. "And this must be," Hank's voice softened as he looked at Jaden. "This must be my grandson." Jaden peeked out from behind Maya, clutching his toy sailboat. "Hi," he said quietly. Hank crouched down slowly, wincing slightly as his knees protested. "Hi there, son. I'm your granddad, Hank. I've been hearing a lot about you. Dad told you about me? He told me you're the smartest, bravest boy in all of Wilmington, and that you love boats." Jaden stepped forward slightly, encouraged by the mention of boats. "I brought you this." He held out his sailboat. "Me and Dad made it together." Hank took the boat carefully, examining it with the same attention Luke always gave Jaden's projects. "This is beautiful work. You did this yourself?" "Dad helped with the hard parts, but I did the sanding and the painting." "The sanding is the most important part," Hank said seriously. "A boat's only as good as its foundation." Maya felt some of her tension ease as she watched Hank engage genuinely with Jaden. Whatever his feelings about her and Luke, he seemed to recognize that Jaden was an innocent child who deserved kindness. They walked over to the playground, where Jaden immediately gravitated toward the climbing structure. Hank settled on a bench nearby, still holding the toy boat. "He's a good-looking boy," Hank said to Luke. "Smart, too, I can tell." "He gets that from his mother," Luke said, glancing at Maya. Hank was quiet for a moment. "Luke, I owe you an apology. And Maya, I owe you one too." Maya's eyebrows rose. "What for?" "For interfering 5 years ago. For letting my own prejudices get in the way of what was right." Luke went very still. "What are you talking about, Dad?" Hank sighed heavily. "That letter you gave me to mail to Maya, after the divorce, I never sent it." Maya felt like the ground had shifted under her feet. "What?" "And when a letter came for you from Maya, I sent it back, marked insufficient address." Luke's face went white, then red. "You did what?" "I thought I was protecting you. I thought you were both too young, too different, that you'd be happier apart, I thought." Hank's voice trailed off as he looked at Jaden, who was now hanging upside down from the monkey bars. "I thought I knew what was best, but I was wrong." Maya stared at this man who had single-handedly kept her and Luke apart during the most vulnerable time in their relationship. "You cost us 5 years, she said quietly. "You cost Jaden 5 years with his father." "I know," Hank said, and his voice was heavy with regret. "I know what I cost all of you, and I know I can't undo it. But Maya, I want you to know, looking at that boy, seeing how happy Luke is, I was wrong about everything." Luke was shaking with anger. "Dad, how could you? How could you make that choice for us?" "Because I was a stubborn old fool who thought he knew better than 2 kids in love." Hank looked at both of them. "But I'm asking for a chance to make it right, to be the grandfather that boy deserves. To be the father to you that I should have been 5 years ago." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. Part of her wanted to rage at this man, to tell him exactly what his interference had cost them, but another part of her, the part that was watching Jaden play happily nearby, recognized that anger wouldn't change the past. "Granddad Hank," Jaden called from the top of the slide. "Watch me go down backwards." "Be careful, son," Hank called back, and the genuine concern in his voice was unmistakable. Luke was still struggling with his anger. "Dad, I don't know how to forgive this." "I don't expect you to forgive it quickly," Hank said, "but I'm hoping you'll let me try to earn it back, starting with being the grandfather this boy needs." They spent another hour at the park, the adults navigating the awkward territory of rebuilding trust, while Jaden played with the unconscious joy of childhood. Hank asked thoughtful questions about Jaden's school, his interests, his friends. He listened carefully to Jaden's excited explanation of boat building and harbor construction. When it was time to go, Jaden surprised everyone by hugging Hank goodbye. "Will I see you again, Grandad Hank?" he asked. Hank looked at Maya and Luke. "I hope so, son. If your parents think that's okay." In the parking lot, after Hank had driven away, Luke turned to Maya. "I'm so sorry. I'm so damn sorry about what he did. Luke, it's not your fault, but it is. I should have followed up on that letter. I should have tried harder to reach you." Maya took his hands. "We both should have tried harder. But Luke, we can't change what happened. We can only decide what happens next." "What do you want to happen next?" Maya looked at Jaden, who was already strapped into his car seat and examining his sailboat. "I want us to be a family, a real family, and I think that might include giving your father a chance to prove he's changed." "Really? After what he did?" "Not for his sake, for Jaden's sake, and for yours. He's your father, Luke, and he's the only grandfather Jaden has left." Luke pulled her into his arms and held her tight. "I love you so much," he whispered into her hair. "I love you too, all of you, even the complicated parts." That night, after Jaden was asleep, Maya and Luke sat on her front porch and talked about the future, about moving forward as a family, about Luke's apartment search, about how to navigate the complex relationship with Hank. "There's something else I want to talk to you about," Luke said as they sat close together on the porch swing. "What's that?" "The job in Charlotte." Caleb called again yesterday. "He's willing to wait another week for my answer." Maya's heart clenched. "Luke, I told you, you don't have to turn down opportunities for us. That's not what this is about." Luke turned to face her fully. "Maya, I want to build a life here, with you and Jaden. I want to find a bigger place where Jaden can have his own room, where you can have the kitchen you deserve, where we can host birthday parties and holiday dinners, and all the ordinary, extraordinary things that families do. Luke, I'm not asking you to marry me tomorrow. I know we need time to rebuild trust, to figure out how to be together again, but I'm asking you to think about it, about us building something permanent together." Maya looked at this man she'd loved and lost and found again. "I've been thinking about it," she said softly. "I've been thinking about it every day since the hospital. And I think maybe we're ready to try building something new, something better than what we had before." Luke's smile was radiant. "Really, really. But Luke, I want to take it slow. I want to make sure Jaden feels secure every step of the way. And I want to make sure we're doing this for the right reasons." What would be the right reasons? Maya thought about that. Because we love each other. Because we want to be together. Not because we think we should be for Jaden's sake. Because we've both grown enough to do this better than we did before. "I think we have grown," Luke said. "I think we've learned how to be the people we needed to be for each other." Maya leaned against Luke's shoulder, feeling more settled than she had in years. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new decisions to make, new steps to take toward the future they were building. But tonight, she felt like they were exactly where they belonged. "Luke, yeah? When you call Caleb back, tell him you're staying in Wilmington. Tell him you've found something better than a promotion." "What's that?" "Home," Maya said simply. "You've found your way home." 3 weeks later, Maya stood in the kitchen of Luke's new apartment, unpacking boxes while Jaden arranged his boat collection on the shelves Luke had built, especially for him. The apartment was bigger than Luke's old place, with 2 bedrooms, a real kitchen, and a balcony that overlooked the Cape Fear River. "This one goes on the top shelf," Jaden announced, holding up the sailboat he and Luke had made on their first day together. "It's the most important one." "Why's that one the most important?" Luke asked, looking up from the toolbox he was organizing. "Because it's when we became a real family. When you came back and we started building things together." Maya felt her heart squeeze. In 3 weeks, Jaden had transformed from a little boy who asked endless questions about his missing father to a confident child who took his father's presence for granted in the best possible way. "How does it look, Mummy?" Jaden asked, gesturing to his boat display. "Perfect, baby. Just perfect." They'd decided to take things slow. Maya and Jaden still lived in the duplex, but they spent most evenings and weekends at Luke's new place. It felt like practice for the bigger steps they were all working toward. Luke's phone rang, and he glanced at the screen. "It's my dad." Over the past 3 weeks, Hank had been making genuine efforts to build a relationship with Jaden. Weekly visits to the park, a trip to the Maritime Museum, even helping Luke build a proper workbench for the apartment. The conversations between Luke and his father were still sometimes tense, but they were talking, working through 5 years of hurt and misunderstanding. "Hey, Dad," Luke answered. "Yeah, we're here." "Jaden's setting up his boat collection." He paused, listening. "That sounds great. I'll ask him." Luke hung up and turned to Jaden. "Granddad Hank wants to know if you'd like to go fishing with him tomorrow morning, from the pier near his house." Jaden's eyes lit up. "Real fishing? With real fish?" "Real fishing with real fish," Luke confirmed. "But we'd have to get up early, like 6 o'clock early." "I can get up early. Can Mommy come too? And you?" Luke looked at Maya. They'd been talking about this, about family activities that included Hank, about building bridges while keeping boundaries clear. "If everyone wants to," Maya said carefully. "I want to," Jaden said immediately. "Then I guess we're going fishing," Luke said. That evening, after they'd gotten most of Luke's apartment organized, they drove back to Maya's duplex for dinner. Tasha was waiting on the front porch with a covered dish and her best interrogating expression. "How's the new place?" she asked as they walked up the front steps. "It's awesome," Jaden said before anyone else could answer. "I have my own room with a window that looks at boats, and Dad built me special shelves, and there's a balcony where we can watch for dolphins. Sounds pretty nice, Tasha agreed, but her eyes were on Maya. And how are you feeling about all this moving and changing? Good, Maya said, and realized she meant it completely. Really good. Inside, over Tasha's homemade lasagna, they told her about their plans for the fishing trip. So, you're all going together? Tasha asked. You, Luke, Jaden, and Hank? Like a family outing, Jaden said happily. Tasha looked at Luke. And how do you think your dad's going to handle that, seeing you all together like a real family unit? I think he's learning, Luke said. It's not going to be perfect overnight, but he's trying. And Maya's right. Jaden deserves a chance to know his grandfather. As long as he keeps being respectful, Tasha said firmly. Because if he says one thing that hurts that little boy, he won't, Luke said with quiet confidence. I've made it very clear what the consequences would be. After dinner, Tasha helped with dishes while Luke and Jaden worked on a new boat project in the living room. He's different, Tasha said quietly to Maya as they dried plates. Luke? All of them. Luke, Jaden, even you. There's something settled about the three of you together, like you've found your rhythm. Maya smiled. We have found our rhythm. Finally. And you're happy? Really happy? Really happy. Scared sometimes, but happy. Tasha nodded. Good, because Maya, I can see how much Luke loves you, how much he loves Jaden, and I can see how much you love him back. Don't let fear keep you from having what you deserve. I won't. We're taking it one day at a time, but we're building something real. The next morning dawned clear and cool, perfect for fishing. Maya packed a thermos of coffee and sandwiches, while Luke helped Jaden get dressed in layers for the early morning chill. They met Hank at the public pier, just as the sun was painting the river gold and pink. Hank had brought fishing poles, tackle boxes, and a cooler full of bait and drinks. Morning, son, he said to Jaden, ruffling his hair gently. Ready to catch some fish? Ready. Did you bring the special hooks you told me about? Right here. Hank opened his tackle box to show Jaden an array of hooks and lures. We'll start with the smaller ones and work our way up. Maya watched this interaction with wonder. 3 weeks ago, she'd never imagined she'd be standing on a fishing pier at dawn, watching Hank Bennett patiently teach her son about bait and casting techniques. But here they were, and it felt natural. Right. Luke helped Jaden with his first cast, guiding his small hands on the fishing rod. Remember what Grandad Hank taught you about the wrist motion? Like this? Jaden concentrated fiercely as he cast his line into the river. Perfect, Hank said proudly. Natural-born fishermen, they spent the morning on the pier, talking quietly while waiting for fish to bite. Hank told stories about fishing with Luke when he was Jaden's age, about the biggest fish he'd ever caught, about the patience required for good fishing. Grandad, Jaden asked during a quiet moment, why didn't I meet you before? Hank glanced at Luke and Maya, then crouched down to Jaden's level. Well, son, sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, big mistakes. I made some mistakes that kept me from meeting you sooner, and I'm very sorry about that. But you're here now. I'm here now, and I plan to be here for a long time. Good, Jaden said matter-of-factly, then turned his attention back to his fishing line. Around noon, Jaden caught his first fish, a small bass that fought hard before Luke helped him reel it in. The joy on Jaden's face was pure sunshine, and Maya took a dozen pictures as he held up his catch with enormous pride. Can we keep him? Jaden asked. What do you think? Luke asked. He's pretty small. Maybe he needs to grow up a little more first? Jaden considered this seriously, then nodded. We should let him go back to his family. I think that's a very wise decision, Hank said. They released the fish back into the river and packed up their gear. As they walked back to the parking lot, Hank fell into step beside Maya. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For giving me a chance, for letting me be part of this. I know I don't deserve it after what I did. Maya looked at this man who had caused so much pain, but was now genuinely trying to make amends. We all deserve second chances, Hank, especially when we're trying to do better. I am trying, every day. I can see that, and so can Jaden. That afternoon, back at Luke's apartment, they were planning their next boat-building project when Luke's phone rang. It was Carmen from the hospital. Maya's not answering her phone, Carmen said when Luke picked up. Is she with you? Yeah, she's here. Is everything okay? More than okay. Tell Maya that Dr. Peterson wants to talk to her about the nurse supervisor position that's opening up. She's his first choice. but he needs to know by Monday if she's interested. Luke put the phone on speaker. Did you hear that? Maya's eyes went wide. The supervisor position? But that's a huge promotion, and you'd be perfect for it, Luke said immediately. Maya felt a flutter of excitement mixed with anxiety. It's a lot more responsibility, more hours, more stress, more money too, Carmen added through the phone. And Maya, you'd be amazing at it. You already supervise half the nurses there anyway. After Carmen hung up, Luke took Maya's hands. What are you thinking? I'm thinking it's everything I've ever wanted professionally, but I'm also thinking about Jaden, about our schedule, about how much things are changing already. Mummy, Jaden said, looking up from his boat project. What's a supervisor? It's someone who helps other people do their jobs better, Maya explained. Like a team leader. You're already really good at helping people. You help me and Dad and Aunt Tasha and Mrs. Ellison. You should be a supervisor. Maya laughed. You make it sound simple. It is simple, Luke said. You take the job because you've earned it, and you deserve it. And I'll adjust my schedule to help with pickup and childcare and whatever else needs adjusting. Luke, you can't rearrange your whole life around my career. Why not? You've been rearranging your life around Jaden's needs for 5 years. Now you have a partner who can help carry the load. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. You'd really do that? Maya, I want you to have everything you've ever dreamed of. The job, the family, the house with the big kitchen, all of it. We're a team now. Teams support each other's dreams. That evening, Maya called Dr. Peterson and accepted the supervisor position. Luke opened a bottle of wine to celebrate, while Jaden toasted with apple juice. To new adventures, Luke said, raising his glass. To family, Maya added. To boats, Jaden chimed in, making them all laugh. A week later, Maya started her new position at the hospital. Luke adjusted his work schedule to handle school pickup on her late days, and they fell into a new rhythm that felt sustainable and supportive. Maya loved the challenges of her new role, training new nurses, coordinating with doctors, solving problems that helped the whole pediatric unit run more smoothly. And Luke loved being more involved in Jaden's daily routine, helping with homework and school projects and bedtime stories. One evening in November, as Maya was finishing up paperwork at the hospital, she got a text from Luke. Asterisk. Come to my apartment when you get off work. I have something to show you. Asterisk. Asterisk. Can't it wait until tomorrow? I'm exhausted. Asterisk. Asterisk. Trust me. You want to see this tonight. Asterisk. When Maya arrived at Luke's apartment an hour later, she found candles lit throughout the living room and the smell of her favorite Thai takeout filling the air. What's all this? She asked. Dinner, Luke said, appearing from the kitchen with 2 plates. And a conversation. Where's Jaden? Sleepover at Tasha's. She picked him up after school. Maya raised her eyebrows. You planned this. I planned this. They ate dinner by candlelight, talking about Maya's day at work and Luke's progress on a custom dining set he was building for a client. It felt romantic and ordinary at the same time, like something they might do every Friday night for the next 50 years. After dinner, Luke led Maya out to the balcony, where he'd set up 2 chairs facing the river. The November air was crisp but not cold, and the lights of downtown Wilmington sparkled on the water. Maya, Luke said, taking her hands, I have something I want to ask you. Maya's heart started beating faster. Luke. Not that, he said quickly, reading her expression. Not yet. I know we agreed to take things slow, but I have a different question. Okay. Luke took a deep breath. I've been looking at houses, real houses, with yards and extra bedrooms and kitchens that get good light, and I found one that I think could be perfect for us. For all 3 of us. Maya stared at him. You want us to move in together? I want us to build a home together. A real home where Jaden can have friends over and we can host holiday dinners and you can have space for everything that makes you happy. Luke paused. But only if that's what you want too. Maya looked out at the river, thinking about everything that had led them to this moment. The late-night phone call, the hospital room, the slow rebuilding of trust, the gradual blending of their lives. Tell me about this house, she said. Luke's face lit up. It's near Jaden's school, so he wouldn't have to change. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a big kitchen with windows that face east, so you get morning sun. There's a workshop space in the garage for boat building, and the backyard backs up to a creek where we could launch our creations. It sounds perfect. There's more. It needs work. The previous owners didn't take very good care of it. But Maya, I could fix it up. We could fix it up together, make it exactly what we want. Maya thought about the duplex that had been their safe haven, about Luke's apartment that was already feeling like home, about the possibility of something even better. When can we see it? She asked. Luke's grin was radiant. Tomorrow. I already made an appointment. The next day, they drove through a quiet neighborhood of older homes, many of them lovingly restored, others still waiting for the right family to bring them back to life. The house Luke showed them was a 1,940 cottage with good bones and terrible wallpaper. The kitchen needs to be completely redone, Luke said as they walked through the dated space. But look at these windows. Maya stood in the kitchen and looked out at a backyard filled with mature trees and a wooden deck that needed staining. She could imagine Jaden playing back there, could picture herself cooking breakfast while watching him through these windows. The master bedroom is back here, Luke said, leading them down a hallway. And this room would be perfect for Jaden. The bedroom Luke showed them faced the backyard and had built-in shelves that would be perfect for a boat collection. Jaden immediately gravitated toward the windows. I can see the creek from here, he announced. And there's a tree with a tire swing. The tire swing comes with the house, the real estate agent said with a smile. In the master bedroom, Maya and Luke stood close together, looking out at the peaceful neighborhood. What do you think? Luke asked quietly. I think it feels like home, Maya said. I think it feels like where we're supposed to be. So we're doing this? Maya looked at Jaden, who was already planning where his bed would go and which wall would hold his boat pictures. She looked at Luke, who was watching her with hope and love and patient willingness to wait for her decision. We're doing this, she said. That evening, they called Tasha to share the news. Her response was immediate and enthusiastic. It's about time. When's the wedding? Tasha, Maya laughed. We haven't even moved in together yet. Details. But seriously, Maya, I'm so happy for you. For all of you. You found your way back to each other. They spent the next several weeks in a whirlwind of house inspections, mortgage applications, and planning for the renovations Luke wanted to do before they moved in. Maya threw herself into researching kitchen designs and paint colors, while Jaden drew detailed plans for his new room. 3 weeks before Christmas, they got the keys to their new house. Luke had already started stripping wallpaper and planning the kitchen renovation, but tonight they just wanted to walk through their home together. This is really ours? Jaden asked as they stood in the empty living room. Really ours, Luke confirmed. All of us together? All of us together. Jaden ran from room to room, his footsteps echoing in the empty space, his voice calling out discoveries about built-in window seats and secret storage areas under the stairs. Maya and Luke followed more slowly, hands linked, talking quietly about their plans for each space. Maya, Luke said as they stood in what would be their bedroom, I need to ask you something else. What's that? Luke dropped her hand and reached into his jacket pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. Maya's breath caught. Luke, Maya Carter, will you marry me? Not just move in with me, not just co-parent with me, but really marry me. Build this whole life together, official and permanent, and forever? Maya stared at the ring Luke showed her, a simple solitaire that caught the light from the overhead fixture and threw rainbows on the wall. When did you? I've been carrying it around for 2 weeks, waiting for the right moment, and standing here, in our house, with our son running around planning his new room. This feels like the right moment. Maya looked at this man who had shown up when she called, who had carved wooden boats for their son, who had turned down job promotions to stay close to his family, who was now offering her everything she'd ever dreamed of. Yes, she whispered. Then louder, yes, Luke Bennett, I will marry you. Luke slipped the ring onto her finger with shaking hands, then kissed her with 5 years of lost time and a lifetime of future hope. Mommy, Dad, Jaden's voice echoed from the kitchen. Come see, the creek is right outside the back door. They found Jaden pressed against the kitchen window, his breath fogging the glass as he peered out at the water that ran behind their property. We can launch our boats right from our backyard, he said excitedly. It's like having our own private harbor. Our own harbor, Luke repeated, looking at Maya with wonder. I like the sound of that. Harbor hearts, Maya said softly. Christmas Eve found them in their new house, mostly moved in despite the ongoing kitchen renovation. They decided to host their first holiday dinner, even though they were still eating takeout off paper plates and cooking on a hot plate in the living room. Tasha arrived early with side dishes and her famous sweet potato pie. Hank came bearing gifts and offering to help with any last-minute preparations. Carmen stopped by after her hospital shift with wine and stories about the chaos in the pediatric wing during flu season. "This house feels like a home already," Carmen observed as she looked around the living room where they'd set up a folding table for dinner. "It feels like where we're supposed to be," Maya agreed. Luke and Jaden had spent the morning setting up their latest boat project, a larger sailboat that they planned to launch in the creek as soon as the weather warmed up. It sat on a special stand Luke had built, the centerpiece of what would eventually become a proper dining room. "Tell me about this one," Hank said to Jaden as they all gathered around the boat. "It's our family boat," Jaden explained seriously. "Big enough for all of us to sail together someday. Dad says when I'm bigger, we might be able to build a real one, a real boat that we could take to the ocean." "That's quite an ambitious project," Hank said. "The best projects are ambitious," Jaden said, echoing something Luke had taught him. As they ate their makeshift Christmas dinner, Maya looked around the table at the family they'd assembled. Tasha, who'd been her rock through the hardest years of single parenting. Carmen, who'd become like a sister and had been there for every important moment. Hank, who'd made terrible mistakes but was working every day to earn back his place in their lives. Luke, who'd found his way back to them when it mattered most. And Jaden, the bright center around which all their love revolved. "I want to say something," Maya announced, standing up with her glass of wine. "Speech." "Speech," Jaden chimed in. "A year ago, I thought our family was complete. Me and Jaden against the world. We had a good life, a safe life, a happy life, but it wasn't." She paused, looking for the right words. "It wasn't everything it could be." "Mommy," Jaden said, "you're going to cry again." "Happy tears," Maya assured him. "This year, we learned that sometimes the best things come back to us when we least expect them, that people can change, that families can grow, that love can be stronger the second time around." Luke stood up and took her hand. "What Maya's trying to say is that we're grateful for second chances, for forgiveness, for the chance to build something better than what we had before. And boats," Jaden added. "We're grateful for boats." Everyone laughed and raised their glasses in a toast to boats, to family, to second chances, and to the home they were building together. Later that evening, after their guests had gone home and Jaden was asleep in his new room, Maya and Luke sat on their back deck, looking out at the creek that ran behind their property. The water was dark and peaceful, reflecting the stars and the lights from their kitchen window. "Can you believe this is our life now?" Maya asked, leaning against Luke's shoulder. "Sometimes I wake up in the morning and think I'm dreaming," Luke admitted. "But then I hear Jaden singing in the shower, or I see you making coffee in our kitchen, and I remember that this is real. We made this. We did make this, didn't we? The best thing we've ever built." Maya looked at her engagement ring, which caught the starlight and seemed to glow with its own inner fire. "When do you want to get married?" "Tomorrow," Luke said immediately. "Right now, whenever you're ready," Maya laughed. "How about spring, when the weather's nice and we can have the ceremony outside, maybe right here by the creek? A backyard wedding? A harbor wedding, where our story started over again." Luke kissed her temple. "Perfect, absolutely perfect." They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the water flow past their property toward the Cape Fear River and eventually the ocean. Maya thought about the journey that had brought them here, the pain of their first marriage, the years of separation, the late-night phone call that had changed everything. "Luke? Yeah? Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't called you that night? If Jaden hadn't had his allergic reaction?" Luke considered this. "I think we would have found our way back to each other eventually. Maybe it would have taken longer, maybe it would have been messier. But Maya, some things are just meant to be. We're meant to be." "You really believe that?" "I believe we were meant to love each other. I believe Jaden was meant to bring us back together. I believe this house was waiting for us, and this creek was waiting for our boats, and this whole life was just waiting for us to be ready for it." Maya smiled in the darkness. "That's very romantic for a guy who works with his hands. Guys who work with their hands know about building things to last. Is that what we're doing? Building something to last?" Luke stood up and pulled Maya to her feet, drawing her into his arms for a slow dance under the stars. "We're building something to last forever," he said against her ear. "We're building a harbor for our hearts." 6 months later, on a warm May afternoon, Maya walked down a makeshift aisle in their backyard toward Luke, who was waiting for her beside the creek. Jaden stood beside his father as best man, wearing a miniature version of Luke's suit and holding the rings with the serious concentration of someone entrusted with a very important job. Tasha served as Maya's maid of honor, dabbing at her eyes with tissues and whispering that she'd known this day would come. Hank sat in the front row, beaming with pride as he watched his son marry the woman who'd made their family complete. Carmen officiated the ceremony, having gotten ordained online specifically for this occasion. "Dearly beloved," she began, her voice warm with humor and love, "we are gathered here today to celebrate something that should have happened 5 years ago, but happened exactly when it was supposed to happen." Maya and Luke had written their own vows, and when it came time to share them, Maya went first. "Luke," she said, her voice steady despite her tears, "5 years ago, we made promises we were too young to keep. Today, I'm making promises I'm old enough to understand. I promise to trust you with my heart, even when I'm scared. I promise to build dreams with you, even when they seem impossible. I promise to love you through the ordinary days and the extraordinary ones, through the easy times and the hard ones. I promise to be your harbor when the storms come, and to sail with you toward whatever adventures wait for us." Luke's vows were simple and perfect. "Maya, you called me when you needed help, and I came running. For the rest of our lives, I want you to know that I'll always come running. I promise to love you and Jaden with everything I have. I promise to build a life with you that's strong enough to weather any storm and beautiful enough to celebrate every day. I promise to be the man you both deserve, and to never take for granted the miracle of getting you back." When Carmen pronounced them husband and wife, Luke and Maya kissed under a shower of flower petals thrown by Jaden and their gathered friends and family. The small crowd cheered as the newly married couple broke apart, laughing and crying and holding each other close. "We did it," Maya whispered to Luke. "We did it," he agreed. "Are we really married now?" Jaden asked, tugging on Luke's jacket. "Really married," Luke confirmed, scooping Jaden up for a three-way family hug. "Does this mean we're stuck with each other forever?" Jaden asked with 6-year-old solemnity. "Forever and ever," Maya promised. "Good," Jaden said with satisfaction. "I like being stuck with you guys." The reception was held on their back deck, with string lights reflecting in the creek and a small dance floor where everyone took turns dancing with the bride and groom. Luke danced with Maya to "At Last" by Etta James, holding her close as they swayed to music that felt like it had been written for their story. Later, he danced with Jaden to "You've Got a Friend in Me," lifting him up so they could be the same height, while Jaden giggled and tried to lead. Maya danced with Hank, who whispered in her ear, "Thank you for giving an old fool a second chance. Thank you for making my son happy. Thank you for raising the man I love," Maya replied. As the evening wound down and guests began to leave, Luke and Maya found themselves alone on the deck with Jaden, who was fighting sleep despite his excitement. "Can we launch our family boat tomorrow?" Jaden asked, from his spot curled up between his parents on the outdoor love seat. "It's supposed to rain tomorrow," Luke said. "The day after tomorrow?" "The day after tomorrow sounds perfect," Maya agreed. They sat together watching the creek flow past their property, the three of them finally, officially, permanently, a family. Maya thought about all the boats they would build together, all the storms they would weather, all the harbors they would find in each other. "What are you thinking about?" Luke asked softly. "I'm thinking about how sometimes the best things are worth waiting for, worth fighting for, worth believing in, even when they seem impossible. Even when they take 5 years to come true? Especially then." Jaden had fallen asleep between them, one small hand still clutching the boutonniere he'd worn as best man. Maya and Luke carefully carried him inside and tucked him into his bed, where his boat collection caught the moonlight from his bedroom window. "Sweet dreams, Captain," Luke whispered, kissing Jaden's forehead. In their own bedroom, Maya and Luke held each other close, wedding rings still new on their fingers, hearts full of gratitude for the journey that had brought them home to each other. "Mrs. Bennet," Luke said softly into the darkness. "I like the sound of that," Maya replied. "I love you. I love you too." Outside their window, the creek continued its patient journey toward the river and the sea, carrying with it all the dreams they'd launched and all the ones still waiting to be built. In their bedroom, surrounded by the home they'd created together, Maya and Luke fell asleep, planning tomorrow's adventures, secure in the knowledge that whatever storms might come, they had found their harbor in each other. And in the morning, they would wake up as they planned to wake up every morning for the rest of their lives, together, grateful, and ready to build something beautiful with their hands and their hearts and their enduring, hard-won love. The story of Harbour Hearts was really just beginning, but Maya and Luke knew that the best stories never really end. They just keep growing deeper and stronger and more beautiful with time, like love, like family, like boats built to last through any weather, carrying precious cargo safely home.